out there right now have not gotten anything actually confirmed. It is just going to be radar indicated as of this time. Radar has been constantly tracking a lot of rotation throughout this afternoon and this evening with a lot of these little storms. Unfortunately, this happens to be right around an area where we did see a previous storm system go tornado warned, right on top of Hobbs. And this one looks to be heading a little bit south of Hobbs, kind of in between the two cities, right along 176 and possibly even toward 8, but even then we're keeping an eye on it. Let's go ahead and pull up that velocity reading to see exactly what we're getting. Yeah, that is certainly going to be a bit of the rotation. Let's go ahead and pause it. What you're going to notice right now is the majority of this area right here. I'm going to try and highlight it. So this area, that's going to be where we're seeing most of that rotation, strong rotation, that towards and away type of look on the velocity reading. Now, latest reading from that still going to be not just that, but you're looking at heavy rainfall. We're looking at that hail potential as well. Latest information from the National Weather Service. Of course, tornado radar indicated. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you are taking cover immediately. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur, and tree damage is likely. It'll possibly be near the Eunice Airport around 5 o'clock Mountain Time, so within the next 3 minutes or so. Other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Oil Center and Lee County Regional Airport. All right, what you want to do, take cover now. Move to the basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows if you're outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle. Move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from that flying debris. All right, still, tornado radar indicated possibly the next 20 minutes or so is when we're going to see a lot of those impacts. Now, the actual severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts associated with it and golf ball sized hail. But how quickly is this tornado moving? A lot of people like to see exactly how fast it is. All right, it's moving northeast about 30 miles an hour. That's pretty significant. So here's the good news with that. When you have a storm moving about 30 miles an hour, means areas impacted by it aren't going to be, it's not a slow moving storm. It's not going to sit over top of one particular area for any extended length of time. That's certainly good news. The thing is, though, when you have a fast-moving storm, it means it can also hit you unexpectedly. You want to make sure if you guys are in anywhere in this box, if you're in Eunice, if you're in Hobbs, even if you're out towards Seminole, yes, we're getting a little bit closer as the time goes on with a lot of this activity. Make sure that you guys are staying in shelter. Even just to the north of this area, we're still seeing a lot of that activity kind of right on top of Lovington, near Tatum as well. We have that another severe thunderstorm warning going in effect for that Lovington region. So again, getting a lot of these storms kind of popping off, more so around New Mexico than anywhere else. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, Jordan, you and Andy and Aurora have been saying all week long that most of these storms are going to be popping up along the I-20 corridor. And yes, they were supposed to, but they haven't done so just yet. This afternoon and evening, that's when we're going to expect to see a lot more of this activity begin to ramp up across much of the Permian Basin. So we're going to keep an eye on anything in particular. So a lot of this stuff right now kind of moving out in this direction. Once you start to get a little bit later in the evening, we're going to see more activity kind of popping up along the northern part of the basin, mostly southern areas kind of going in between Odessa, Midland, and Andrews. So we are going to continue to keep an eye on a lot of this stuff. As we go into the evening. But latest update on that tornado warning, going to be dangerous storm around the Eunice Airport around 5 o'clock, so almost right now. Let's go ahead and get rid of this and kind of pop in a little velocity tracker on what we're actually seeing in the direction that the storm is going to be moving as well. Zooming in, Well, we're getting a tornado warning for the next 15 minutes or so. We're going to stay on the air until this warning goes away just to make sure everyone is safe. We already saw one moving toward Hobbs a little bit earlier, and, well, luckily we did not get any significant damage reports in from Lee County EMS or even emergency management. They were just talking about a lot of that activity more so along the regions around not just Hobbs, but also around surrounding areas, a little bit of flooding more than anything else. Still not to downplay the fact that we got a tornado warning. So let's pop in a quick little velocity tracker and potentially see how far this thing is going and where in particular it's going to be going as well. We're going to actually base it off of about 30 miles an hour. So we're going to continue to see where is this thing going to be heading toward. Heading possibly toward Warren around 5:26 p.m. and possibly Eagle Stadium around 5:43 p.m. Now, here's the good news. We're seeing a lot of this activity staying outside of the warning area and outside of the region where we're seeing a lot of that tornadic activity as well. So that's certainly going to be some good news. All right, let's even pop in another tracker, maybe just a little bit farther back, kind of popping it over near Oil Center around 5:30 and near Warren around 5:55, possibly even Hobbs and Eagle Stadium. All right, so it depends exactly where this storm is in terms of significant velocity readings and anything along that. So let's actually go ahead and pop that over into the velocity. All right, we're seeing, we pause it real quick. All right, that's where the storm is right now. If we go right in the middle of that, kind of just do a quick extended, that's going to be a better idea of where the center of that tornado is going to be. We're also keeping an eye on a whole lot of other activity going on. Let's see, maybe potential debris. Maybe not so much in the upper atmosphere, so that's certainly going to be pretty good. Let's also look at that hail size. All right, we're tracking some large-sized hail kind of as some of these storms go ahead and pass through. Notice a little bit of that blue to purple. That's going to be around golf ball size hail and potentially even a little bit higher. And that's just going to be behind some of these storms. So we're going to keep our eye on that. SPC for today still showing that level 2 risk kind of right over top of the region. Go ahead and pause it. These are going to be the areas where they're most likely to see a ton of that activity. And notice, yeah, Hobbs is included in that, and it's kind of a little bit isolated. Notice it even extends as far south as Pecos. It even goes along the I-20 corridor, Odessa, Midland, Big Spring. But we're not seeing a ton of activity. No, not yet. And that's the thing. We want to make sure that we are seeing this in terms of what exactly it is. All right, raw radar data showing some really strong winds associated with this and about 2 distinct type of hail cores. That's going to be that very bright purple. You got those strong winds kind of moving a little bit toward oil center. So we're keeping, we'll watch it a little bit. Nothing too super crazy. In terms of watches, my goodness, we have a lot of watches, a lot of bright yellow on here. Probably wondering yourself, well, Jordan, what is that? Now, earlier today, the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma, they're the ones that typically issue a lot of these risk factors, that level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 risk factors. Now, for much of West Texas, we don't tend to see significant severe weather until we're under level 2 or that level 3 risk. All right, not too bad. But here, now they issued a tornado watch for us. That's going to stay in effect until about 9 o'clock Central Daylight Time. And so then that's going to be maybe not the best situation, but you got about 3 hours before that expires. And that's going to include a number of counties. We're talking Lee County, we're talking Eddy County, and then we start to move into the Permian Basin and much of West Texas. We're talking Andrews County, Ector, and Midland County. A lot of these areas going to start to see a little bit more of that activity. Winkler County as well, and even extending a little bit down south toward Pecos, maybe even not as far east though as Big Spring. Big Spring, you guys got a bit of rain earlier today. not seeing much more than that right now. But here's the main thing we've been keeping our eye on, that big severe risk. All right, yeah, hail is going to be quite high, scattered to severe storms. Tornado risk is rather not necessarily low, but about a medium low. And that's why we're still seeing that one tornado warned storm, of course, across much of the area. And we're still seeing the latest from the National Weather Service, just showing a lot of that activity. Andy, was there any update in terms of if storm spotters spotted this thing on the ground at all?
I saw something about observed, but I'm double checking to make sure if that's an actual fact.
Okay.
Right now, it's officially observed. That's what it's saying on the warning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so Andy Mead is saying that meteorologists or other storm chasers out there have actually observed this thing on the ground. So we're going to keep an eye on that, especially considering the warning itself is set to expire within about 9 minutes. We're going to stay on the air, of course, until it goes away. But let's kind of get the whole, it's a little bit confusing with a lot of this stuff going on. Difference between watches and warnings. You have a lot of the area under a watch right now, and only a few areas under a warning. So areas under the watch, conditions are certainly going to be favorable for any type of tornadic development. And yeah, we're getting strong velocity readings heading out toward Oil Center. So it's certainly possible that National Weather Service might actually extend a bit of that warning as well, with a lot of that activity, a little bit of that debris in the upper part of the atmosphere. We'll keep our eye on it. But conditions are favorable. If it's a watch, conditions are favorable. Doesn't mean anything's happening. It just means be aware and be prepared. Review your safety plan. Have multiple ways to receive alerts, whether it's from us, you're downloading our app online for Android and for iPhone. And we're also, of course, on social media too. Go ahead and give us a follow. We're constantly posting updates. Andy behind me is already just on top of Facebook. Aurora's been on top of Facebook as well, constantly pushing out alerts, and myself as well. Go ahead and give us a follow on there. Now with warnings, yeah, we're seeing that tornadic activity happening right now. It means take action, get to your safe space. Tornado's been spotted and or radar indicated. Now today we kind of expected a lot of activity in terms of showers and storms, so that's why, yeah, we got a lot of these tornadoes, tornado potential. Yeah, it's a bit high out there. So let's go ahead and look at that watches and warnings. Yeah, we got the watch, we got the warnings, we got everything in between. Just to the north of our area, we got the flood watch in effect. So certainly a lot of that activity kind of lingering around. All right, looking at the map right now, about 2 areas of interest. It's going to be mainly around Lovington, around Hobbs, and around Eunice. That's where we're seeing those 3 warnings. We got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings and 1 tornado warning. Here's the latest. All right, tornado warning itself remains in effect until 5:15 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time for East Central Lee County. At about 4:59 p.m. Mountain Time, confirmed tornado was located about 8 miles west of Eunice Airport, about 13 miles west of Eunice, moving northeast about 30 miles an hour. Now, damaging tornado, golf ball sized hail. It has confirmed that the weather spotters have actually seen that tornado. Now, flying debris, that's going to be a main issue. We always think, oh, I can stand outside. I want to take a video of it. I want to get a picture. I want to maybe see if I can chase it myself. Guys, don't be going out and doing that. We have professional storm chasers out there for a reason. They're out there, they're constantly running around, they're in high-tech, heavily modified vehicles, so they don't have to worry about a lot of the things that you and I have to worry about. That's why we're safe right now in shelter, and we suggest that you guys are safe in shelter as well, making sure that we're staying out there, that we're staying indoors, looking out there from pictures later afterwards. All right, we got professionals, we have first responders. Unless you're a first responder, I do not recommend at all going out there. Golf ball sized hail, golf ball is going to hurt no matter where it hits you. And then, you know, you have it falling from the sky too, and it's not even a golf ball, it's a form of ice. Ouch. It's going to leave quite a bruise. You're probably worried, maybe you left your car outside. It's okay. It's what insurance is for. Don't be a hero out there. So we're going to be continuing to see a little bit more of that activity as we continue. we're also going to see potentially, even the next couple of minutes, possibly that the storm will likely be extended. Yeah, no surprise there with how well the velocity reading on this is actually kind of pointing out, possibly even going in for the next 20, maybe 30 minutes or so, especially as we head into the latest part. All right, here's what we got latest from the National Weather Service. Might become elevated in the next 20 to 30 minutes. All right, 20 to 30 minutes. So that's still a little bit ahead of the actual warning box itself, but that means that the storm itself is beginning to lift up a bit. It's gonna be moving north of the outflow boundary. Outflow boundary, that's where we see a lot of these storms tend to get a bit more active. All right, you have a lot of air. How do thunderstorms develop? Great question. So, you got strong winds helping to fuel the storm. It has to go up into the upper part of the atmosphere. Once it hits the limit in the atmosphere where it can't go anymore, where is it going to go? It's got to go down. That's where we tend to see a lot of very heavy rainfall. Now, when you have a little bit of that rotating updraft, the storm itself, the winds start to spin due to high and low pressure interacting, that's when you get that tornadic activity. But when the storm itself begins to die down, you get all of the stuff that's been slowly going up coming down all at once. It's where you hear the term, the storm rained itself out. Yes, certainly possible, but all of that air has to go somewhere. Tends to go outward, and you get some of those strong gust fronts that we tend to see, some of those strong dust storms that we see as well. It might not even be it, but those winds too, if the conditions are right, you got high humidity, you got a lot of heat too, that wind flowing outside of the storms likely going to be, well, the next fuel for another storm. That's where we're going to keep our eye on a lot of this stuff. Now, latest image from, looks like Lee County Deputy Emergency Management. Not showing a whole lot on the ground, but it is showing a lot of little bits of debris getting picked up. So that's certainly going to be a bit interesting as well. Now, the hail itself, possibly around 1.25 inches as of now. Storm itself becoming elevated the next 24 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to continue watching it. Continue watching it. And you know what? It's something, just a lot of activity. The storm itself could easily wear itself out. It could gain some strength a little bit. But the actual activity, it's honestly anyone's game at this point. This entire storm system has been very unpredictable. Latest on that velocity reading. All right. Still very strong velocity. Still about, 2 more minutes left on the warning. Not seeing a ton of it right now. Likely going to be extended. Possibly north the outflow boundary. And it looks like that we're getting reports that it's rain wrapped. Now that would actually make a little bit of sense considering we are seeing a whole lot of rain. We are seeing a whole lot of actual, hail associated with it, strong winds. The problem with a lot of tornadic activity tends to be the fact that you might not see it. Even with professional storm chasers out there, unlikely that it's going to be a picture perfect type of image where we tend to see a lot of that activity kind of lingering around. Of course, we're on top of it. We're keeping you safe out there. So let's actually kind of go into something a little bit interesting just before to see if the National Weather Service does extend it. Now you're probably wondering, all right, we got all kinds of impacts throughout the region tonight and this evening. Hail is going to be one of those impacts. All right, so let's check that out real quick. Probably wondering yourself, all right, when you talk about all this hail, here's what's going on. You see all kinds of different sizes of that hail. Yeah, you tend to see anywhere from about quarter and higher. That's going to be severe hail. All right, then we tend to see anywhere between ping pong and golf ball sized hail. That's where we're seeing a lot of the activity for this particular storm. So let's pull up that radar once more, seeing the latest from the National Weather Service. Believe it or not, they haven't actually extended it. They've actually let that tornado warning expire, but I want to make this perfectly clear. Watch the latest loop of that radar actually showing that very bright purple. That means some large-sized hail. Latest with that actual, warning, 2-inch diameter hail. Not surprising at all. So, yes, the tornado threat has since gone away. We're keeping an eye on it. It's still showing a bit of rotation on velocity. So let me show this to you guys. Yeah, they have expired it, but rotation-wise, kind of going a little bit different. It's something we'll keep our eye on for now. Of course, we're not the ones that issue out the warnings. That's going to be the National Weather Service. But, of course, we got plenty of people out there. We want to make sure you guys are staying safe, especially as it closes in on Hobbs once again. Hobbs, certainly this want to be your guys' first tornado of the day. But we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to also constantly give you updates throughout the afternoon and the evening. But for now, we can go ahead and get back to your regular scheduled programming. We'll see you in a little bit.